been trying to find a way to make a video for YouTube and trying to figure out how to come back to YouTube, and it's just hard, stressful, and I think it got to the point where it's like I have to just do it and I can't keep thinking about it. There's a lot of, in this video that I'm going to discuss, there's a lot of things that I can't disclose for legal issues, but I will be honest with you guys. I will talk about as much as I possibly can, and I will just try to be transparent with you guys and real with you guys and honest with you guys. No matter how much anxiety I have right now, how much stress I have right now, I just want to try to get through you guys with my words and just try to be honest and not try to overthink right now and just make this video. So I will start from the beginning, and I will talk about where I have been in the last 2 to 3 years off social media like YouTube, and what happened to me of my disappearance. We'll start from 2019. 2019 is the year where I would begin to be in an environment with certain people where I would have to or choose to sign a contract, a 10-year contract, which I signed, and that kind of developed into where I'm at now, to where it kind of caused a lot of issues eventually. I worked for a big YouTuber, Mr. Duncan. I signed a 10-year contract. You can't really say that I worked for this YouTuber because I never got paid, but I was in front of his videos. I was in front of his channel. 2019 was that year. Was a year that I would be filming a lot with Mr. Duncan, and I'll be going from Florida to LA. I'll be going to Ohio, where I would be showing my mom this 10-year contract, and she was like, "Aaron, do not sign this thing." I was like, I'm doing whatever I want because I'm impulsive. I'm impulsive, and I'm very gullible, and I listen to what other people tell me because I don't understand everything. I feel like other people do understand certain things. It's very hard for me to understand things and listen to people because my brain thinks differently than others. But I signed this 10-year contract. I trusted in this man. I loved this man, not in a sexual way, but I loved this man in a way like he was my best friend. I trusted him. I felt I was a fan of him. I looked up to him. He was my admirer. He was like my father. He was like my dad. He was like my blonde white dad. If I had a blonde white dad, he was like my dad, and I trusted him. So I was like, you know what? If I can trust this guy. So I signed the 10-year contract, and that 10-year contract was probably a bad move from my part. Probably a bad move. Or at least signing the 10-year contract and not understanding what I was signing, understanding the rules on this, and understanding what allegedly I'm supposed to be getting from this 10-year contract. And so, anyway, 2019 is where I would be in Florida a lot. I would be filming a lot. I would be, I would be more focused on his videos rather than my videos, because to me it was very important for this man to grow. I put more time probably in his videos than my videos, just because I remember just feeling like I want to be good. I want to do a good job. I want to impress him. I want to, I want to give myself to him in a way, in that way, because I wanted to show him I can do this, So 2018 was that year I would be constantly filming, and that would start a whole new life for me. During this time in 2019, I met a girl in Florida. Her name was Kelsey, and Kelsey was very interesting. She was one of those girls I was like, this girl is not probably after me. She's probably after me to probably get to Mr. Duncan. But I was wrong. This girl, we end up, dating instantly. We met, and that was like my first probably real girlfriend. My first real girlfriend. I had little flings in the past, of course, but that was my first like long term, this is gonna last a long time type of girlfriend. I'm dating this girl. We are now I'm now staying in Danny's house. Staying in Danny's house, and this is where it gets a little more tricky here, I would say. I'm staying in Danny's house. I am now, technically, I'm living with him now. My address is, his address is not my address. And living with me was like, challenging. Staying with me was like very challenging. This is like kind of heading out from like 2019 to like 2020, I would say. Because I think now we're heading towards like 2020, I would say, almost during COVID at this point. I'm living at Danny's house, and living with me was very challenging. The laundry, me stomping, it was very hard on Mr. Duncan, or Danny, we can call him, how challenging it was living with me, because I am not normal. I'm different. It's very hard for me to live with other people, because I have challenges. I have challenges that other people like Danny did not understand, or he didn't choose to try to understand, maybe. I don't know. But these are challenges that Danny or I did not understand. But it impacted me being there. Working with Danny was fun, interesting, a good experience, going from Florida, going from here, taking trips with them, but it was challenging on me. It was challenging on me because at these times, I wasn't really, I was focused more on his channel than my channel. I was bringing money on my channel, but I was more focused on his channel, and I wasn't really granted, I feel like, enough. He wasn't paying me. Which made it kind of complicated. Like, how am I going to make money if I'm working with you all the time, but I'm not receiving money? Why is other people getting money, but I'm not receiving money? I'm filming with you all the time. Why am I not receiving money? I'm doing a lot of work for you. And I understand his point of view was like, okay, I'm building up Aaron's social media presence, but we're talking about someone who, we're talking about someone who's putting his whole life for you, pretty much signing a 10-year contract for you. I think that maybe I should not be constantly broke all the time, you know? So, and I was never that person, like, I want money, money, money. But I think it started becoming a problem eventually, you know? To the point where I felt that things were unfair. You know, I was losing friends. Because of this 10-year contract that I signed, it was becoming an issue eventually. Because there's a lot of rules in that contract where I was like, bro, I am doing, like, this is ruining my friendship with people because I can't hang around these people, I can't work with these people, I can't do blah blah. And it's becoming an issue for me. And I'm not really making much. I feel like money is very limited because I'm focused on him, and it's hard to film my own videos because it was very challenging to film my own videos, and I was actually doing more work for him than myself at this point. And I got to the point where I was like, I want out of this contract. I want at least this contract reversed. I want it to be different. I want something to happen with this contract that's more in my favor, because this is not fair. This is not fair. I want this contract in my favor. My favor. So, gosh dang, man, I was mad. I got to the point where I was planning in my head, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna talk? I gotta talk to this guy. I gotta confront him. I started like getting hyped up in a way. I'm gonna confront him. I'm gonna tell him exactly how I feel. The problem is when I communicate to people, even making this video, it's hard for me. When I communicate to people, definitely in person, definitely someone who I'm intimidated by, it's very hard for me to get my words out. Let alone, most people would be nervous to confront someone about an issue that they're dealing with. I'm very nervous, and not that I'm nervous. It's hard for me to verbalize what I'm actually feeling. It's hard for me to communicate. It's easier for me to write it out, or maybe show pictures or videos of what I'm feeling, than to verbalize it. So me confronting him came off very aggressive, possibly to him, more like I want money. I want the contract changed. I want this. And to him, Dana's like, this kid is ungrateful. Look how much I do for you, Aaron. I give you a place to stay. I did this for you. I put you in front of millions of people. I did this for you, but he wasn't understanding how I was feeling. He wasn't understanding, like, oh, Aaron just feels separated from everyone else. Aaron feels like this is unfair because many reasons, maybe because other people are maybe getting paid, but Aaron's not getting paid, or other people are able to get Starbucks, but I'm not able to get Starbucks, or maybe that there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things in my brain that I wanted to say, but it was hard for me to say, like, and I think I just felt that this was unfair, and I wanted the contract to be changed. So I manned up and I confronted him. I went to him, he had meetings in the basement, and I went to him and I confronted him about the contract my own way. In my own way, I told him he was show knighting me, because before that I was watching a movie called Straight Outta Compton, and when Dr. Dre in that scene walked to the Suge Knight, he was like, I want out this contract. So in my mind, I put a picture in my brain pretty much like, I'm going to confront him like Dr. Dre confronted Suge Knight. So that's what I did, and I confronted him in that way, just Suge Knighting me. That's why if you ever watched past videos of him talking about that, I said that he told me that I was Suge Knighting him, because I took that from a movie phrase, because that's the only way that I was able to verbalize to him, for him to understand what I was feeling, because I did not know how to verbally tell him what I was actually feeling, besides having a meltdown and freaking out and probably wanting to go upstairs to cry because I couldn't tell him exactly what I was feeling. So I took a movie phrase and I told him he was Suge Knighting me. So that turned into more like, what is Aaron talking about? What do we sugarnight? I'm sugarnighting him. What is wrong with this kid? This kid's going like crazy now. But I was overwhelmed. I was anxious. I was nervous. There was a lot of, it was like probably like 20 items in my brain I wanted to say. Only like 5%, like 1% of the things I actually said came out of my mouth that I was thinking, but also even came out wrong. So that was not a good idea, confronting him about this contract. Actually, it was probably a bad idea, and I probably should have just sat down, looked at the wall, and probably said, okay, what am I going to do next? I probably should have wrote it all out, made a video of it, and showed him, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking about, instead of just confronting him, because that wasn't a great idea. Or not really confronting him, more of just talking to him, because I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say confront him, I just mean talking to him, but in my mind I was more just like, probably more angry at that time. Anyway, so now he's like, okay, you want off this contract, then get off this contract then. I'm like, okay, then what am I gonna do now? So I try to get more upset, and like, he's not listening. It feels like at this point he's mocking me, because I'm telling him what I went through or what I feel, but he's not listening. He's like, it's like I'm mocking me almost, my feelings. So I was like, okay, well, that's the case. If you feel like, if you don't want to listen, I'm gonna make a video of you then. I'm gonna make a video of how I've seen other people make videos of other people, and I'm like, I'm gonna do the same thing. But I think the way that he looked at this video that I made of him was an attack. And to other people it might have been an attack. To me, it was like, I'm gonna express my feelings to people, to let other people know. And yes, I did out of anger too, because I was mad. And I made that video for many reasons. One of those reasons because I wanted to express what I was feeling. I wanted him to see that video. I wanted him to know how serious I was. There's a lot of things those reasons are why I made that video. And I could go back in time, I would have made that video, and I would have done things way differently, but I'm very impulsive, and I do things too fast without thinking. That same video would tie to my life, where it would go downhill after that, and my whole life would be demolished, I feel, at that point. 2022 was a year where everything went blank. This numb. I had my girlfriend at the time, yes, and I had my own apartment in LA, and everything went numb, meaning that like I made this video, this Danny video. This Danny video would change and maneuver my whole entire life in a very negative way, where I would get so much hate online. I would get so much hate that when I would walk outside, someone would call me a mean name. Down the street from my apartment, I specifically remember the name he called me. And at that moment, I was like, my heart just dropped out of fear. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm getting so much hate online now. What am I going to do? So I just spent my whole 2022 just, I tried to film some videos, but it just wasn't working for me, and I just slowly was leaving the scene of the internet. And I kind of, I got to the point where my mental health was getting slowly worse. I sort of, slowly started working. That 2022 was more of a flat year, I would say, kind of like trying to figure out what to do next. To the point where I was taking some time for myself. I was trying to get out of this 10-year contract that I was still in, and I was trying to figure out, how do I maneuver around this? What do I do? 2023 is where it really hit, I would say, or maybe the end of 2022, entering 2023, the beginning of 2023. This was the year, 2023 was the year that my life would enter in, and my mind would enter in a way that I never thought it would ever enter. My mental health got so bad in 2023. So bad. So bad. I at this time I had my apartment in LA. I was, had my girlfriend. I was slowly leaving social media, and I can't quite remember the day I actually deactivated my Instagram, but I did deactivate my Instagram eventually, and like I was getting too much hate, and I just kind of couldn't do it anymore, and other reasons. I was like, I need a break from the world. I need a break from the internet. I need a break from the hate. I couldn't do it anymore. My girlfriend at the time she was trying to help me, but at the same time, it was getting hard on her too, because like I can't do this. I can't do this. Technically, when I say girlfriend, she was actually my fiance, because I did propose to her in 2020, which I never brought up. But my fiance, ex-fiance, it just didn't. It got hard on her too. We started receiving 3-day notices to our apartment building, and we couldn't pay rent at a certain point, and I was looking for odd jobs, and I was doing this and I was doing this, and things were just, my mental health was mainly getting bad. I've never gotten so violent in my brain, never gotten so like away from the world, like hated myself type of vibe. Like, I got to the point where I was like, bro, I can't be here anymore. I ended up, telling my mom I need to go back to Ohio. So I ended up going back to Ohio for the first time in like 3-4 years, where I would get help with my mom, and she would help me find a good psychologist and try to help me find a therapist. And I grew up in Ohio, Elyria, Ohio, outside of Cleveland. Growing up for me with mental health was normal, because I had a lot of mental health problems growing up. I was diagnosed with OCD at a young age. I was also diagnosed with an intellectual disability, which later on I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And so mental health was a thing my entire life, but never this bad. I've been seeing doctors my entire life since I was little, but again, never was this bad, to the point where I lost myself. When I was in Ohio, my mom helped me find a good psychologist. She helped me find a case manager. She tried to help me find a good OCD therapist. Mainly, I was out there trying to get my life together. I ended up getting a job at a grocery store, and a pizza job, which was also challenging for me. The pizza job, I got fired like in a week or two, and the grocery store, it was just hard for me. A lot of people, it was hard for people there to understand me, and kind of like, why does Aaron do this? Why does Aaron do this? Why does Aaron, they didn't understand my conditions. They didn't understand me. So it was very hard for me to like work at a grocery store. Very challenging for me. I was off social media. I deactivated my Instagram. I deactivated my YouTube channel. I didn't have TikTok at the time. I just was focused on getting my mental health better. Now, for instance, my ex-girlfriend was back in LA at the apartment, where I would be sending her money from the grocery store job to help her pay off the rent at the apartment building. The problem was, there's something that I did not realize, which we'll get into about my ex-girlfriend or fiance, is that there's a lot of issues that I didn't know about. When I was in Ohio, I was trying to figure out what do I do in Ohio? What am I going to do? I can't be here forever. I want to eventually go back to LA, but I got to focus on getting enough money. I got to focus on trying to get my mental health better. I got to focus on my life and what I can do with it. When I was working out there, I would talk to Kelsey, my ex-girlfriend or fiance. I found out that she was hanging out with another guy, and that kind of hit me. Not really hit me. That kind of like, oh man, this is not good. So I asked her, I called her and I kind of confronted her about the issue, like what's going on here, and then I said, do you like this guy? She said, I don't know if I do or not. I'm like, oh, dang, well, that put in my head, like, okay, well, she definitely cheated on me. So that kind of like, I was in Ohio, that happened. Like, the girl I was with for almost 4 years, was allegedly seeing other people. I'm pretty 100% sure she was. because and then I found out other things that were happening in our relationship that I found out eventually, and I was like, bro, my pretty much things were going on for a long time. I don't want to keep saying her name, but when I was with her, I remember her coming home at I remember her coming back home at like 7 a.m. in the morning one time, or 3 o'clock in the morning one time, after hanging out with another person, another guy. And I was just like, oh, okay, like, to explain to me why, what happened, or, it's just like someone that can help her with her career. I was like, oh, okay. So I was very more, I think, gaslighted, right? Manipulated, I don't know. But more very gullible, which is very standard with me. I'm very like, I believe anyone, and if someone tells you something like, hey, the earth is round, it's like, I'm gonna believe it, When I found out that she was with another guy, that more of hit me, not like I'm crying in bed, more just like numb, because I kind of figured out like, well, if she's with someone else, there's nothing to do about that. I'm not gonna freak out, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, time to move on, Aaron. But I will be honest with you that I was also dealing with a lot of other pain from what happened in 2021 versus now this happened. So it kind of all just kind of like, I was already dealing with terrible mental health. So there's nothing else that can put me more down than I already was. I just pursued with my documentary, pursued with everything else I was doing, and I was just trying to live my life. And I will say, I will go back to the Danny stuff. I will tell you guys this, that during this time that I did not bring up really, that I did and was and am in a lawsuit. And I can't tell you the reason, I can't tell you anything more, but I will tell you that there is a lawsuit going on. And I do not hate Danny. If anything, I have forgiveness for him. I forgave him a long time ago. I have forgiveness for him. I think that it goes back to like me as a Christian, I need to forgive him. Because I'm a Christian, but I need to forgive, and I need to let that side go of me of like revenge or anger or this or this or this. Something that always been nagging me, and I feel like it's that we eventually do need to figure things out. Whether there's legal things going on now, whether there's things that I should talk about or can't talk about. At the end of the day, it comes down to forgiveness, and that's what I do receive, is forgiveness from him, and hopefully he forgives me, and we can move parts and live a life separated or apart. It doesn't matter. But I do know that I'm ready to move on with my life, and I'm ready to just and thrive into YouTube and show my life and just go hard, but not in a negative way. My intentions were never negative. I feel like my intentions were never like, I want to, oh no, well no, maybe I'm lying, because I was angry. But I do know that my intentions were never like, I want to tear down his career. Absolutely not. I was mad, but I felt a lot of things were unfair, and I'm now, as I've grown through that, and I'm older now, I've realized that if I could go back in time, I would have done things differently. But it's too late now. Only thing I can do now is tell the story of what happened. So that's what I'm doing now, and I have love for him. I have a lot of love for him, and I forgive him. And he has a kind heart. Danny has a really kind heart. But I do know that things need to be discussed and need to be handled appropriately. And yeah, I'm living my life now. It's 2025, and I'm just trying to post on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, just live my life. I have a new girlfriend now, and I'm just trying to live my life and not be attached to something so sensitive to me, unless it gets fixed. infernalized. So that's it, guys. Comment below if you guys want to have any questions for me. I try to, if I'm forgetting anything, I apologize. If you guys want, if maybe I'm missing something, comment below of certain things that you guys want to know, and I will try to answer the best I can. And I will try to be verbally honest with you guys. But that's it.